What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be making a season preview and predictions for the Houston Astros for the 2025 season. The Houston Astros season begins today playing the New York Mets. I'm so excited for Astros opening day. Can't wait for another opening day for the Astros. This team's going to look a little bit different. This year, no Kyle Tucker, no Alex Bregman, but who would have thought that, we would see in right field Cam Smith, the guy the Astros got in the Kyle Tucker trade. The biggest piece of that trade in the opening day lineup, as Cam Smith is supposed to be starting in right field today for the Astros against the Mets. And then, also you got, the fact you also got Isak, who the Astros got in that Kyle Tucker trade at third base for the Astros today. And then on Tuesday against the Giants, you'll see Hayden Wazinski, the other guy the Astros received for Kyle Tucker, start for the Houston Astros in the second game of a 3-game series against the San Francisco Giants. It's going to be a fun season for the Astros. I think the key thing I want to talk about right away for this Astros team going into the season is slow starts. I wouldn't be surprised if the Astros got themselves to a slow start again. I feel like the schedule's a little bit easy to the point where maybe there is not a slow start. The Mets is a tough way to start the series, but if you look how the rest of the schedule goes on early in the year, you got the Giants at home, a road series against the Twins, which the Astros have kind of struggled in the past in Minnesota early on, or in the early season. Then you got a trip to Seattle, then you host the Angels, and go to St. Louis. So it's not terrible to start off the season like it was last year. There were some hard schedules, like you started off with the Yankees right away, and then I know the Blue Jays weren't amazing last year, but you met the Blue Jays second series of the season where it's, a healthier Blue Jays squad. The Astros also had to go to Kansas City. Had to face Texas a couple times when Texas was a little bit healthy to start off the year. It was a tough schedule to start off the year last year. But the thing I want to point out is how bad the Astros have started in previous years early on in the season. For instance, through the last 3 seasons, through 18 games, the Astros do not have a 500, or they do have a 500 record in one of the seasons, but they do not have a plus 500 record through the first 18 games of the season since 2021. Last year, through 18 games, they were 6-12. The year before that, in 2023, they were 8-10. And even the year they won the World Series in 2022 and finished the season with 106 wins, they were 9-9. You want to go through 40 games, 15-25 last year, only 21-19 last year. 2022 was a little bit better at 25-15. Maybe that's the number you'd hope for this team to be around. This year around that. You'd hope the team to be around that. 22-25 win total through 40 games. I would hope, but we'll see what happens. I think that this Astros team, the key to the season has to be starting off hot. Last year, I think the slow start, you had a great excuse with having a new manager, had to get used to that. They got off to a way much slower start than they did the prior year. Yes, the Astros started off slow in the 2023 season, to the point where they didn't have a 500 record through 20 games, and through 40 games, they were only 2 games over 500. But eventually that year, once summer hit around May, June, the Astros really started to get clicking in the 2023 season. And so that's why they were able to reach, I think they were over 90 wins that season. I want to say they were something like 92 wins, something like that year. Last year, they only had 88 wins. So I think the Astros, the key to the season has to be getting off to a better start. You cannot get off to a slow start the way they have the last 2 seasons. Maybe it's okay if you get off to a slow start like they did in 2023, because 2023 was a slow start, but it wasn't terrible. But last year was brutal. And I'm just going to say this. If the Astros end up getting off to a start like they did last season, where the Astros last year through 40 games last season, you know, they weren't even close to having a record of 500 last year. I mean, they were 15-25 through 40 games, and it took them a while, almost halfway through the season, before they reached the over 500 mark. It wasn't until like June, July they reached being over 500. That's something they can't do this year. So you have to get off to a good start off the season, and I think a Game 1 win against the Mets today would be great for this Astros team. Really, it would, and you'd be able to be over 500 way quicker than they were last year. Last year it took them until like June or July. I believe it was July. July was the first time the Astros last year had a over 500 record, because they started off the season being swept by the Yankees, and then it was just a slow start after that with this Astros team, and they really didn't start picking it up until the end of the season. And so I'd hope for this Astros team to start off the season with a Game 1 win. Let's go over the 26-man roster real quick. So your batters, your hitters, you got Altuve, Jake Myers, Cam Smith, Isak, Jeremy Pena, and Mauricio Dubon, Christian Walker, Yanner Diaz, Jordan Alvarez, Victor Caratini, Brendan Rodgers, Zach DeZenzo, and Chas McCormick are the hitters of this Astros team. The starting pitching rotation with Neil Garcia or McCullers to start out the season is Framber, Hunter, Spencer, and Renel Blanco and Hayden Wazinski. The bullpen pitching rotation, Josh Hader's the closer. Now the setup man with Presley gone is Brian Abreu, Taylor Scott, Brian King, Luis Contreras, Rafael Montero, and Stephen Oakert, new Astro, and then making his Major League debut at some point this weekend is Ryan Gusto, who was supposed to make his Major League debut last season, Game 162 for the Astros against Cleveland, but the game got rained out, and that was really tough for him. But this weekend I'd expect for him, or at least this weekend or against the Giants, beginning of next week, I expect him to make his Major League debut, which will be great to see for Ryan Gusto. So yeah, predictions for this Astros team. I went as far as 40 games for record prediction. I got this Astros team, just going to be honest, I'm very biased possibly, you would say, but I got this Astros team through 40 games. I'm going to say the Astros through 40 games of the regular season. The Astros I'm going to go with 24-16, which it's much better than the last two seasons, and not as good as the 2022 season when they went 25-15. I'm going to be honest, I don't think the Astros win opening day against the Mets. I'd love for the Astros to start their season with a dub against the Mets. Just my only thing is I don't think the Astros get a sweep in this series, but I look at this series and I really like the Astros in their matchup against the Mets tomorrow on Friday and Saturday, going up against pitchers like Tyler Miguel and Griffin Canning. I like the Astros, and you have Hunter and Spencer on the mound for both those games. And the Astros are 0-2 when Framber Valdez pitches on opening day. So, look, honestly, I like the Astros' chances of taking 2 of 3 in this series against the New York Mets, but if you're going to tell me there's one of these games that the Astros are going to lose, I'm going to say it's going to be the first one, because I really like the Astros' odds Friday and Saturday against the New York Mets, and especially with the pitching matchups with what the Astros have on the mound and what the Mets do. So I got the Astros taking 2 of 3 against the Mets. And then I look at the Giants series. Honestly, I'm not feeling too great about the Giants series either, because we saw Renel Blanco struggle a lot against in spring training, and I'm wondering how that's going to pan out. So I hope the Astros can have a good series against the Giants. I think they at least take 1 of 2 against the Giants. I'm worried about when Hayden Wazinski starts. How far can he go in an outing? Is 5 innings the max? Because we didn't see any more than 5 innings in spring training for him. So Can Hayden Wazinski go 6 or 7 innings if you need him to? That's the question I have in Hayden Wazinski starts, because I feel like in Hayden Wazinski starts you might have to really rely on the bullpen, which is something I don't know. I don't know if that's something you really want to do, because you might look at in a Hayden Wazinski start, you might look at going to the bullpen as early as the 5th or 6th inning potentially, which might be different with other starters like Hunter Brown or Framber Valdez, Renel Blanco, or Spencer Arrighetti. But I like the Astros in the Twin series and the Mariners series. So I think the schedule is easy enough to the point where the Astros can be near 25 wins through 40 games, whether that's being at 23 or 24 or 22. But I think it's going to be a good season. Look, I think here's what I'm going to say. I don't think the Astros have a shot of reaching 100 wins this season, but I think the Astros win another AL West title, and I think they have more wins than they did last season. So what I am expecting of this team this year is to have more than 88 wins. And I'll say more than 89 too, because the Astros might have had 89 wins last season if Game 162 didn't get postponed or canceled. So I'm going to say more than 89 wins. I think this Astros team wins 90 to 92, 93 games this year, and I think that's perfect enough to win the AL West and then be in the playoffs. But the other thing is, do you want to be better? Because if you're the Astros, I don't think you want to be in the wild card again like you were last year. So maybe possibly be good if the Astros are 1 or 2 seeds, so they don't have to be in the wild card. But let me know your thoughts on the Astros season starting today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.